Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaudavani Prachayine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Manchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhura Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tatta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namaste Girirajaya
Namaste Girirajaya
Shri Govardhan Namine
Shri Govardhan Namine
Ashesha Klesha Nashaya
Ashesha Krishna Kshetra
Paramananda Dayine We're continuing to discuss Sri Harinama Chintamani, and we are considering the issue, the problem of inattention while chanting, and the technical term is, what is the technical term for inattention in general? Pramada, yeah. Mada means madness. And the prefix pra means really strongly the case. But this is with long A, pramada. In any case, we can say it's a kind of madness. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur has elaborated to say that there are three kinds of pramada, and what are these? Indifference, laziness, which was, do you remember that? Yes, Jarya. And distraction. Yes, vikshepa. And we started to look at the solutions because, okay, there's these problems now. We want to know what is the solution. And something I noticed in rereading this is how much Bhaktivinoda Thakur uses the word yatna. It's translated here as carefully chanting. Yatna can also mean effort. So he says, if a certain spirit soul, by some good fortune, chants Lord Krishna's holy name, that soul should carefully chant a prescribed number of holy names. Then, attraction for the holy name will arise within him. I like Bhaktivinoda Thakur's positive mood. It's going to happen. There will be attraction. But notice the condition. The condition is that one chants carefully. So, if we take the English word carefully, we can say there's being full of care. And then we might reflect on what do we associate with being full of care. Does anyone want to suggest something? Some example of how it is to be full of care? Now we're speaking in a positive sense, because in English you can be full of care in the sense of being full of anxiety, but there's a positive sense of being full of care.
Being personal?
Yes.
It kind of reminds me, it's like you care for someone also, to look after someone, to nourish and provide facilities.
Yes, looking after, caring for someone. Now, what do we know about the holy name in terms of, what is the holy name in terms of being Krishna? The holy name is a person, as is Krishna. Krishna is the original person. We might want to say also that we're trying to comprehend what it means to be a person through the chanting of the name of the Supreme Person. We have a good idea what it means to be a person because we're all persons. But there might be a lot more to understand about what is a person. It's interesting to think, considering that our experience of being persons is quite, well, it's limited. It's limited. Conditioning, modes of nature, etc., etc. Supreme Person, Parama Purusha, Purushottama. What kind of person is that? So, okay, that's one example. There was another example of carefulness.
Caring for someone with emotion, with positive emotion.
Okay, still someone, caring for someone with emotion, or someone's emotions?
With emotion.
With emotion, with feeling. Okay, Kali Chandra.
I forgot almost, but it means also to be focused on someone. You know, I'm not distracted by other things that are around. I'm focused on my activity.
Okay, so
So I know what is going on the very limited field.
right. Now, if we take the image of focus, and we might want to use the image, the idea of a camera, or I like to think of the example of the telescope. You're looking through a telescope. Here at night we see some stars, not a whole lot of stars because the air is not so clear. But you see the stars, but okay, you have a telescope at night and you're looking at, let's say you're looking at the moon. And there's an adjustment you can make on the telescope to put it in focus. And telescopes have, what do they have inside them? Lens. They usually have more than one lens. They might have several lenses. I don't know how optics works, but somehow with the several lenses, it's having the function of magnifying. Okay, that goes into another sort of analogy of the Guru Varga. Varga means the series. So like a series of lenses, our Guru Varga facilitate our seeing spiritual reality, seeing the absolute truth, and carrying this analogy a little bit, we have to make some effort of focusing. We have to do our part. It's not a big effort, but we have to turn until we see, now it's clear, now I can see the moon clearly. So we're hearing from the previous acharyas so many things we hear, and like Narottam Das Thakur says, Sadhu Shastra Guru Vakya, Hridaye Koriya Aikya, may the words of the Sadhu Shastra and Guru become an Aikya, become a singularity in the heart. May I get them focused in my heart. Okay, so that would be a kind of carefulness. Yoga.
I want to mention the exact same point.
Same point. Boy, you must be connected by Paramatma. Something is going on there. Yes, Rajma.
For example, if we say we are caring for a garden, that also means that we know, for example, what we need to give to the garden, the right amount of water, the right kind of soil, in order that the plants will, for example, flower, if it's a flower garden. So we know what the aim that we want to get out of the garden is. The aim is having a flower garden. So
right.
We put in what is necessary to have flowers.
Good, nice example. Gardening. The gardener is, back to the focus idea, is focused, giving attention, giving care to the garden with some purpose that the garden will flourish, and with knowledge of how to facilitate the garden to flourish. How much water, when to give water, when to not, what to weed out, what to plant when, depending on the season, and so many types of knowledge are there. How would we apply that to what we're discussing here, chanting carefully? Yes?
I remember buying a poster for my friend from Govardhan library.
Buying what?
A poster.
Poster.
And the poster had these different steps from Shraddha to Prema as a flower.
Uh-huh.
At the top, when the flower kind of opened, there was Prema. So maybe in this way we can find it.
Okay, so we want, as we are chanting, that our chanting will bloom, will grow and bloom. Yes, nice. Yes, is it Vaishnavi? Vaishnava? Vaishnavi, yes.
I think one way of caring is avoiding committing mistakes, like
Avoiding what?
avoiding mistakes,
Mistakes.
avoiding committing mistakes,
Committing mistakes. Yeah.
like a doctor doing a surgery. So with care, he avoids to commit any mistake.
That's an interesting example of doctor doing surgery. Some doctor is doing heart surgery. You don't want them to make any mistakes, right? It can be a matter of life and death. Yes, Kavi Chandra, you were using this example in this article you wrote of the doctors doing a routine operation for sinuses or something, and using an anesthetic which ended up causing the patient to die. And then they came out, the doctor came out to the husband and said, "We're really sorry your wife died." What? And here's kind of the point that you were making is, he said, "Yeah, we're really sorry, sometimes that happens." And then the husband decided to research and find out, why does this sometimes happen? Does it really have to happen? And that led to an extensive investigation of the dynamics of doctors and what happens, when they do things wrong. So yes, being careful in. So we're all doing a heart operation, aren't we? Or we're opening ourselves to let Guru and Krishna do a heart operation on us. So yes, we're chanting. And this chanting, as I often say, the mantra we're chanting is in the vocative case, so we're calling to Krishna. O Krishna, O Rama, O Hari, or O Hara. So we're calling, Krishna's saying, yes, you called, you rang. Yes.
What about, is it, this carefulness can be also used with our choices?
Making careful choices.
Yes.
Yes.
Even with japa, I like the sentence when I read it. It was like, I hope that I will say it in the right way, that you use the same time. How it was like, if you chant with focus or without focus, you're using the same time. It takes the same time, so it's your choice what you will choose.
Yes, you're sitting down to chant for as Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, initially half an hour, then increasing to 1 hour, and then increasing. So that half hour, or that 1 hour, or that 2 hours, if you're doing inattentively, you've spent the same time that you could have been chanting attentively. Right. This morning I had a thought of another analogy for chanting. For what it's worth, I'm thinking there could be a comparison with knitting. You know what is knitting? So with knitting, there's a routine. You do this. I never did this myself, but I have a god brother who knits. And I saw him during a meeting, and I was a little bit envious of him, thinking, gosh, I wish I knew how to do that so I could do something productive while sitting in this meeting, which is, I have to be in this meeting. I could be, making a scarf for Krishna or something. And he was he's not the sort of devotee, you would never, if you saw this devotee, you would never dream that he would knit, because for some years he was the temple president of the Soho Street Temple in London. So, he's kind of he can be assertive person. He's a very sweet devotee, but we saw him one day, all the devotees looked at him. What are you doing? Yeah, and he was like, I'm knitting, so what's your problem? We always think it's a thing that ladies do, but I said, no, it's a great way to, have to make the mind peaceful. So I was thinking about this, that knitting has a lot of routine, and at the same time it requires attention, I would think. And it's a production, you're making something, there's a result, and as Bhagavata Shri Prabhu is his name, as he was saying, one is peaceful. So all these benefits, and multiple benefits. So knitting, chanting as knitting. Knitting our consciousness. One way of, in English, the word knitting, you can take it as a process of connecting. You can knit ideas together. You can knit concepts together. Different things you can knit. K-N-I-T in English. Jak się mówi po polsku? To knit.
Szydełkować.
I'm not exactly sure, but
I didn't get that.
Szydełkować.
Okay, I guess I have to see it written. Right, so then, all right, so carefully, this, as long as that attraction has not yet arisen, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, he, the devotee, should always chant the holy name very carefully. So again, he says, here I wrote out Bengali, Je anuraga na hoy udoy, as long as the anuraga is not arising, udoy, she parjanto, up to that time, Japna kori nam sada loy. One should always take, loy is to take, one should always take the name. How? Jatna Koriya, with effort, with care. Mm-hmm. And I was also remembering what does Krishna say in Bhagavad Gita chapter 10 about what is the among sacrifices, what is he, what is Krishna? Yes, Yagyanam Japa Yagyosmi. I was always surprised at Krishna of so many different types of yagya. You know, he might have said, I am the Agni Chayana yagya. This is a very elaborate yagya. Or I am the Rajasuya or something, right? Or I am the Ashwamedha yagya. No, he says, I am Japa yagya. Did you know that? So it's a yajna, it's a sacrifice we're doing. And when we're, and jump back to the 4th chapter, Krishna gives several examples of how practices in spiritual practices can be understood in terms of yajna. He sort of expands the idea of yajna. So, for example, he says that the practitioner, and I think Prabhupada specifies it's the brahmacharis, they sacrifice the object of hearing, namely sound, into the fire of hearing, something like that. And then more generally, I may not be getting this quite right. The householders sacrifice the sense objects into the fire of the controlled mind. The fire, what is that? The fire. So this is kind of stretching our understanding of yajna, and it's helping us to think about, to comprehend what we are doing as we engage in the practice of chanting Hare Krishna, which is a practice, and that's another point Krishna makes to Arjuna when Arjuna is complaining about trouble of controlling the mind. He says, yeah, it's tough, I know. Asanchayam, no doubt. Durnigraha, it's so difficult. Why? Because it's shaking. And then he says, what does he say? Avyasena, by practice. And what's the counterpart to the practice part? Yes. Somehow my ear is not hearing. Renunciation, thank you. Yes. Avyasena tu konteya vairagena chagrihite. Now, here's another thing we can apply in relation to chanting. And that is, okay, we're making effort, we're yatna, and we're doing it with care, and still the mind says, no, I'm going to go here, and I'm going to go there, and I'm going to go over there, and off he goes. And then we notice, oh, there went the mind. And then what to do? What does Krishna say? Krishna says, bring it back. Atma samstam. what is it? Atma sangsang mana kritva, having made the mind atma sangstam, established in the self. Now, whenever Krishna uses the word atma in the Bhagavad Gita, it's ambiguous. And we've been wrestling with this in the editorial review panel. I won't go into that. Small s for self, or large S for big self, for Paramatma. It's ambiguous, and I always make the point, it's intentionally ambiguous. Krishna is saying you can understand it in both ways. But the point I want to make here is, when Krishna says, Atma sangsang mana kritva, or he says, tatastato niyamya etat, whenever it's gone like that, then Atmani eva vasham nayet. Nayet means to lead, let it be led. Let your mind be led, or rather, lead your mind. It's this vidhi lean form, which is kind of imperative, but not exactly. If you want to control your mind, then yes, this is what you have to do. So there's kind of a condition clause. If you want to control it, then lead it to the control of the self, Atmani eva vasham, the control of the mind, in the mind, in the self. But here's the point I wanted to make is, we usually think of, okay, the mind just went zoop off, and now I have to grab it and pull it back, right? And this feels maybe a little bit violent. Oh my God, here we go again. What if we think of it in a bit different way? Instead of this linear way of thinking, can we think in circular terms? The mind is going out, and let it circle back. Let us lead it back to the me. Let us make a complete circle. The mind is friend or enemy, and we're thinking, oh, it's gone away, it's my enemy now. Shoot it down. But can we think in a bit different way? The mind has gone to something. Okay, Hare Krishna, let's come back. The mind wants to go to Krishna and is maybe looking elsewhere than Krishna's names. All right, let's bring it back to Krishna's names. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. As the name is always waiting for us to be attentive. And what was it we considered 2 or 3 days ago? Could it be the case that Krishna is listening? Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, after giving some ways to be careful. Okay, first that. By associating with devotees, one quickly becomes free of material desires. Jai. That's what he says. the fault of material desire destroyed. This is Haidas Thakur speaking to Lord Chaitanya. The fault of material desire destroyed, one then may chant the holy name in a secluded place. Gradually, the mind becomes fixed on the holy name. Then one is always intoxicated by tasting the nectar of the holy name. Yeah. Just like that. Staying near Tulsi Devi. We didn't have it. We don't have a Tulsi plant here. There's none here. Oh. Maybe we could borrow one from the neighbors. From Dwarkadam. We'll bring her back. Staying near Tulsi Devi, staying in a holy place of Lord Krishna's pastimes, associating with the saintly devotees, and following the example of the great saints, one gradually spends more and more time thinking of the holy name. Very soon, one abandons thinking of material sense objects. Very soon. Okay, or, he says, living in a secluded place, remembering the holy name, acting in a saintly way, and controlling the senses. One may fix his mind on the holy name. Seems like much the same. Quickly, here we go. Quickly, one attains first faith, and then gradually attraction to the holy name. Gradually, the fault of indifference is destroyed. So the whole section here is about udasinya. Udasinya is indifference. Let's think a little now. We thought about carefulness. So now let's think about indifference. What do we associate with indifference?
Ignore.
Like not caring, ignoring.
Not caring, okay. Ignoring, okay, which is the word in English, ignorance, can be related to ignore. And, okay, any other thoughts about indifference?
Helplessness.
Helplessness. In what sense helplessness?
I wrote yesterday that indifference and apathy is the same. And then you say that this.
Say again, louder.
I wrote yesterday that udasinya and that apathy is also helplessness.
Oh, apathy.
Apathy, yes. So that says indifference and helplessness, like very similar.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, that apathy, you know the word apathy. Being apathetic, what is it like to feel apathetic? To feel hopeless? What's the mantra of someone who is feeling apathy? What's the mantra? Yes, Kavitan.
Nothing has sense.
Nothing has sense, okay. There's another one.
Don't be bothered.
Huh?
Don't be bothered. I cannot be bothered.
I can't be bothered. Okay, Subha.
I know it's not gonna work, but I can't do it.
I know it's not going to work. Okay, I'm going to chant my rounds now, and I know it's not going to work. I'm not going to get the nectar. Another mantra could be, I can't do it. Or just, it's hopeless. Right? What is one of the symptoms of bhava that has something to do with hope? Hope. Hope against hope, right? Asha bandha, bound by hope. Yeah. There's a book about a biography of Mahatma Gandhi I read called Prisoner of Hope, because he was, a few times he was in prison for his revolutionary activism. Prisoner of hope. So to be on the platform of bhava is to be a prisoner of hope. To have hope against hope, despite everything, despite all the signs that there's no hope. A devotee who is on the level of bhava still has hope, despite everything. But apathy says there's no hope, there's no help to be had. There's no way. So I might as well give up. Okay, I'll give up. Forget about this chanting Hare Krishna. So, yeah, indifference, udasinya, can be understood in that way. So what's the remedy Bhaktivinoda Thakur is giving? Make an effort. And make an effort with favorable conditions. Place yourself in favorable conditions, spiritually favorable conditions. Like that. We read this, this is now going into overcoming inertia. Let's see. One who does not waste time in useless activities. That's another symptom or characteristic of bhava. Is not wasting time. One who does not waste time in useless activities, who associates with saintly devotees, and moment after moment remembers the holy name, will find himself plunged into nectar as he remembers the holy name. He will not desire anything else. In this way, in the association of devotees, this fault will go away. Now we, in our skeptical ways, will say, yeah, that's Bhaktivinoda Thakur, that's Haridas. What do you expect Haridas Thakur will say that? Because he's Haridas Thakur and he's totally absorbed in the holy name, chanting 192 rounds a day. Anya kaye vrita ka nahoy japan sarugan iha chinti smare anukan nama smare rase maje anya nahi chai se rup sadhu sange e doshan jai. That's this Bengali of those two verses. Okay, then he says, in his heart he will decide to chant. Today I will chant 1 lakh names, 64 rounds of holy names. Then gradually he will chant 3 lakhs, 192 rounds of holy names. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is emphasizing there's value in numbers. There's value in number, in quantity. The more the better. But why is it the more the better? Number one, because if Krishna's name is Krishna, that means there's that much more one is connecting with Krishna. And the value of repetition, taking the example of knitting again, we're getting more cloth, we're getting more, we can make more of something, we can make more connection with Krishna. Okay, we're almost to the end of our time. When the hankering, let's see this section. Oh, this is now in the section, how to become free of distraction. Vikshepa was distraction. First, on the days sacred to Lord Krishna, and then in a footnote he explains Ekadashi, festival days, and so on. So on those days, renouncing even the thought of food, day and night, the devotee worships the holy name in the association of saintly devotees. Whenever Janmashtami comes, I always think, I would really like to disappear today and just chant Hare Krishna. Janmashtami is always a day, as a festival day, as, you know, that's the other instruction we get, is one should participate in festivals. And that means busy, busy, busy all day long. But the other way to celebrate festival days is to disappear and chant the holy name. Jai Jagannath Prabhu gave a wonderful seminar a few days ago in Puri about prayer, in which he explained that he took on a prayer coach, and he learned many things from this coach, a devotee, and one of these was to make time and space and place, sometimes going in some lonely place out on the beach or in a forest or whatever, and creating a kind of enclosed space to sit in and to be for, he said, 5 or 6 hours to speak with God. He prepares himself for that, and he brings prayers to read, to recite. He'll spend an hour and a half in the beginning just reading and reciting prayers from the acharyas, and some journaling, and of course chanting, like that. And he said it's good. It focuses the mind. gradually the mind spends more and more time wrapped in devotional service. When there is talk about Lord Krishna, the mind dives into a festival of bliss. Gradually, the sweetest nectar rises in the heart. And then one certainly renounces the inferior taste of material things. So there we get this avyasena tu konteya vairagyena chagriyate, the vairagya of whatever is distracting. Just one can let it go. We talk about this in our Shanti seminars, learning to let go consciously. Could I let this go? No, I can't let it go. Okay. Next day, could I let this troublesome thought or feeling go? Yeah, actually. But only for 5 minutes. Okay, that's good. And then next day, could I let this go for more than 5 minutes? All right, 10 minutes. And then one day, could I let this go? Yeah, I don't need that. Come on, get rid of it. When the hankering for material sense pleasures that are very inferior, goes, the heart becomes always fixed in chanting the holy name. And again, the next line he says, with a great struggle, bahu jatne, ataeva bahu jatne e pramada tyaje. With a great struggle, in this way one becomes free from inattention. With a steady mind, one is then always plunged in the nectar of the holy name. Stira chitte nama rashe charidin majje. Majje means drowned. Actually, it comes from madhya, which means in the middle. Stira chitta, fixed chitta, nama rasa, there's a rasa to be had. Right? Syat Krishna nama charitari, sitapya vidha pitopatapta rasamasya, narochikanu. There's a disease, there's the jaundice of not having the taste of the name. Kintu adarat anudinam kalusaiva jushta svanvikramat bhavatita gadamula hantri. One can uproot, it kind of takes another analogy. First the disease and then some deep-rooted conditioning can be uprooted fully. How? Anudinam, by every day, carefully chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay, I should finish now, but one more line. There's a section now that's called enthusiasm. And I'll just do the first verse. One should not lack enthusiasm to chant his prescribed number of holy names. Again and again, one should fix his gaze on the holy name. I wondered, what is this translating? The gaze. Deki bare bare. Name deki bare bare. One should look at the name. Again, the attention. Enthusiasm is translating the word agraha. Graha means grasping, and agraha means really grasping with enthusiasm. And 500 names. Yeah, okay, that's it for now. That's it for now. now we can divert our attention to nourishing ourselves with Krishna Prasad. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.